That was insanely hard to keep up with. Hello everyone, Adam here. I am a professionally trained audio engineer, as well as metal guitarist. And today I'm going to be continuing my Willow full album review. This is going to be the third track from the Willow album by Reflections. This track is called Psychosis. So let's just go ahead and jump in on this track, and I'll talk about my thoughts during the music video and at the end. So let's go ahead and check it out and see what we're into here. Wow. I think that's how I start every one of these videos, by saying wow. That tone is so interesting. The electric guitar tone had the lowest end distortion I've ever heard. Oh my god, what's happening? Oh, telephone filter, electric guitar left ear, right ear there. Hi-hat, left ear there. Telephone filter, middle, left ear, right ear, left ear, right ear. Oh, okay. So that effect right there was not a telephone filter. That was just them scooping out all the low end on the electric guitar and like emphasizing the high end. This engineer is not afraid to use a lot of vocals on his scream, or a lot of vocal effects on his screaming parts. Great highs. Wow. Awesome ride cymbal work. Nice, clear. The overheads are mixed really well in order to hear that well. Especially with the electric guitars being hot in the mix as they are. Wow. He's doing those screaming vocals really close to that microphone. I can literally hear his mouth flaps and the spit coming out in the left ear and right ear. That really long delay and chorus on that vocal part, really cool. So vocals are all over the place, pan left ear, right ear, center. Electric guitar is also pan left ear, right ear, and center. Got a cool ambient guitar effect going on in the center here. Oh, yeah, that has a lot of delay on it and a lot of reverb. It's really interesting how it decays out into the left ear and right ear. Oh, that was it? Okay. Okay. So let's talk about this this in-your-face banger for a second. Number one, that's the first time I've heard that song. That was insanely hard to keep up with. There was so much stuff going on all the time, and I was like trying to listen to the music as well as the production work. Whew. Okay. These guys are not easy to listen to, like on the first listen and like really grab everything. But there was a few takeaways that I wanted to talk about, and I'm gonna try hard to not repeat myself too much, because a lot of the things I like about each mix is similar to the other mixes. First thing was the outro. I felt like the outro came out of nowhere. The outro sounded really good. Sonically, I loved how how that clean guitar was in the center, stereo image. His what he decided to do for the reverb on that was really quite interesting because it wasn't like a standard reverb sound. So usually what happens when you have a reverb is it just makes the sound last longer and makes it like sound more wet in your left ear and right ear. He was somehow adding distortion, it sounded like, to the reverb a little bit. And that's like the first time I've ever really heard something like that. I did only listen to the song one time, but like, and this is why me as an audio engineer, I love listening to music and analyzing it like this. Because like, I've heard of like doing other things, and I have done other things with reverb. Like I've compressed reverb before, I've EQ'd reverb before, but I've never added any modulation or any harmonic effects on it. So a harmonic effect would be giving it like a little bit of distortion. So that's a fascinating idea. Really interesting, very, very creative if that is actually what he did. And if that isn't what he did, then I came up with an interesting idea that I might have to try later on. But I felt like musically that outro totally came out of nowhere. And I was expecting more stuff to happen. It didn't feel like the end of the song. Maybe it goes into the next song. So that's probably what my guess is, because I haven't heard the next song yet, I don't think. I am going to talk about this probably every single time I react to one of these songs, because the panning is so good. The panning is so good. My God. Okay, so let's talk about the panning. So this engineer, like I said in the previous video, is not afraid to use creative panning. So he, the vocalist, left ear, right ear, center. That's 3 different pans. So at least three different tracks with 3 different pannings. Electric guitar, left, right, center, panning. The drums are very in your face. So like when I sit here, if I were to close my eyes and listen to this band, the stereo image I personally get is one where I'm like with the drummer. This is definitely like, I feel like I'm kind of like the drummer in the room playing maybe like a large show, and all my bandmates are around me. This is kind of like what I picture when I listen to this. I feel like it's like really easy. You can like air drum to it. It's panned exactly like how a drum set would be if the listener were a drummer. It's a good way to pan. There's different panning techniques and different like stereo imaging techniques that you can use. I tend to go for more of like an audience perspective, or maybe like you're watching the show. That's kind of like, I tend to like that type of mix more, where like you're listening to it and you can kind of like sing along, like more of like a concert going experience. That's kind of how I prefer to mix and have that type of feel to it. His technique is very, very different. Everything is as loud as it can be, in your face, properly panned, but also you can somehow still hear everything perfectly. I don't think I've ever heard a mix this loud with this many prominent things happening at the same time, where you can individually hear everything and nothing is masked. He does an amazing job of not masking anything. And that takes very creative EQing to do that. I'll talk about EQ just a little bit here. If you're using like a 7-band EQ, the low end here is going to be 0 hertz. The very, very high end is going to be 10,000 hertz. And all instruments have harmonics and notes that they play that are within your frequency, your sound spectrum here. So a way that he can get everything to sound good together without overlapping is by cutting out pieces of the mix where some things just aren't needed. So for instance, we're using 8-string and 9-string guitars on this really low tuning stuff. At least for me, what I do is I take out a lot of that low end because that's where the bass, that's where like a lot of the bass notes are. So what I like to do is I like to scoop out, like take like a significant cue and scoop out a lot of the 300 to 350 hertz range for my guitars, because that's where a lot of your bass prominence is. So what that does is you scoop out your electric guitar, you increase, you don't even need to increase it a lot of the time, because when you scoop that out, the bass will naturally boost itself up because there's more space there for it to boost naturally. But if you wanted to boost it up more, you can definitely like EQ higher in that range. And it sounds like he just did that for every single instrument. If there's frequencies where he knew the electric guitar needed to be, or where he knew the vocals needed to be, or where he knew the bass or any of the drums, and the drums, oh my god, the drums are all over this like frequency 7-band EQ spectrum. But he did such a good job of filling out pockets in the and both the stereo image and the spectrum analysis. Like if you were to look at the spectrum analysis for this, like I bet a lot of it would be even, like very, very even spectrum analysis. And also that's also achieved through good mixing and through good mastering, by the way. This master is also very, 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 very loud. Very loud master. But I don't get the same compression errors that you get with a lot of like metal mixes where there's a lot of pumping. There is no pumping in this. Everything still sounds fairly organic and not compressed too much, but they were somehow able just to, I feel like they're maxing out the volume as much as they can while somehow keeping all harmonics and all frequencies equal, while also making it as loud as they possibly can. Because the listeners of this genre of music want a loud experience. They want a heavy, in-your-face experience. And I feel like that's what their mastering engineer, their producer, and their mixing engineer all did really, really well. They all worked very well in tandem together to make this amazing effect. Just a banger, man. I definitely will re-listen through all these songs again casually and pick up more things as I go along. But that was my first time analysis and first time breakdown of this song. Keep in mind that for the next couple weeks I will be putting out new Reflections Willow album content until the whole album is finished. If you are liking my content, make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe button and the bell button. Especially important to hit that bell button, guys, because that will tell you when the next Reflections video gets put out. I also have a Patreon page. It's the top link in my description below. If you're really enjoying the content and want to super subscribe to me over there, that would be great. Very, very helpful. And it has some fun perks as well. And there's going to be actually more perks coming up in the future for when I drop future content. So I really appreciate your support. Thank you again for watching the video, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.